Thanks.
All right, guys, welcome back. Oh my gosh, it's been a month since we've been on, right? Like I
Is
want
it
to say
really?
it
Pretty
has
It
close
has
to.
been,
been long,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because we ended up postponing session 11 until next week. Yeah, it's
Yep.
been about a month. But yeah, so with it having been so long, um, I kind of wanted to give this opportunity to my players to kind of review and to you guys as well to review the first 10 episodes or the first 10 episodes and just anything from them, but and give you guys a chance to also pick my brain because I know I tend to be pretty stingy with spoilers, which I still will kind of be stingy with spoilers, but I will definitely iterate on a lot of previous concepts. So meta questions, as long as it doesn't enter spoiler territory, I will answer as best as I can. Questions from players to players, viewers to players, whatever the case is. You guys are welcome to ask whatever it is, and we already have a number of questions from in the Discord server and from players who couldn't be here. Chris will be joining us shortly. Ryan is in the Twitch chat, and announcements. I have been super, super swamped, but I will hopefully be getting Studio Buddies online in the next couple of weeks with Emma. But I did use this holiday vacation. Quote, I'm still working. It was still holiday vacation, more or less, and I spent whole days writing and preparing content for the campaign. Like, it's like, oh, I don't have any work to do today. And I spent the whole day writing, more than a few days. So I have lots of big things that are going to be popping up for everyone in the session. And I guess with that being said, I really don't have any other announcements. Do you guys have any announcements about your streams or your shenanigans? Nope. Other than Joseph's really, really cool mask.
Rocking the cyberpunk look.
Yeah. But okay, I guess let's start with you guys. Do you have any questions right off the bat that you think of?
Okay, so I do have one. I'm not sure if the stream is aware of our one shot before we started, the Halloween one shot.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. I had so much fun doing that.
The Halloween one shot is available for viewing in the Discord. Yes.
Okay, sweet. I remember because like we were dealing with the ladies of I can't remember the name, but I get the feeling that that's the one that you said bled in here. The guardian, forest guardian that was looking over us or watching over us. Am I right?
The ladies of the Eventide?
Yes.
You are correct.
No.
Wait, what now?
So the one shot, or it ended up being a two shot. It ended up being a double. Yeah, double shot. With that being my first ever DM experience, and I definitely didn't want to jump right into the campaign in its full entirety until I had at least a little bit of time to work as a DM and also with you guys as players, since half of you guys are new. And so that's where I took the opportunity. The one shot not only has a couple of immortal characters and beings in it that have you guys are currently in the same universe as in this timeline, but also the mechanics of how the realms interact with the modern world when Earth does come around. That is how the modern world perceives the higher realm beings and magic in general. I tried to touch on that as much as I could, but yeah, there was. I put a little bit of.
Wait, so this is
for you guys.
The Halloween one shot thing is like
Yeah.
in your universe.
It is in my universe.
You mean what? You mean I can beat people up with Chinese food like in your universe?
You've been throwing sweet buns at everything.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Well, we gotta find Chinese food for you to be able to do that. I don't know if Chinese food exists yet.
Why? We need
Because
Chinese
China doesn't
food.
exist yet, because Earth doesn't exist yet.
Oh, okay, so we're like way in the past, and then
Oh, yeah.
Earth is coming.
It
Um,
is
okay.
coming. And you guys may or may not experience it when it comes.
I hope I don't. Just kidding. I don't care. Earth. Oh.
I know, right? So
Oh
boring.
God. Those Earthers. Oh
Chinese
man.
food is an eternal concept. I
It
love it.
is. It is such an eternal concept. I have a question for aesthetic, actually. Is that you, Bolu? Feels like Bolu.
Bolu,
Oh
are
my
you
gosh. That does sound like
finally?
something Bolu would say.
Yes. Yes, it
Yes!
is Bolu!
Bolu.
I feel like we were doing a Ouija board for a second. Bolu, are you there? Is it
Are you
you?
with us? Oh my gosh. That's funny.
Oh, I love it. And really quick on that note, I am really bad about thanking everyone for their support. So B Squared and Dova, you guys have resubscribed for the second month, and Streamfall, you have subscribed for the first month. I mean, you're you guys are supporting this, and and I definitely appreciate it, for sure. And yeah, so I'm really bad about like chat and support on stream, and I'm sorry, my brain is in world mode. But all right, next question. It's Bolu says from beyond the grave. I will go to a couple of Ryan's questions. So, since Ryan is not with us and Bolu is hogging up the Ouija board, I have his last will and testament here, for questions. First one is, might the contents of the journal have something to do with with what my patron wants from me? The journal in question is, of course, Nillian's journal that Sorn had received from Ziegza, the alchemist in Orkney, and we've been reading it bit by bit. And Ryan, I am not giving you any more information about your patron outside of game.
Oh, that's so rough.
Shut down.
Oh no.
You tried so hard. You tried so hard.
Shut
But no.
down. Oh man.
The contents of the journal. You will just have to read the rest of the journal. You would just have to. Then that's all I'm gonna say, because. All right, and on that similar, he has a similar question here about his patron, but he says, "Are the ravens related to my patron or something else entirely?" What you guys do know, you can't confirm if. You can't confirm at this time direct connections, but you do know that the ravens are almost acting as avatars or as extra eyes and ears for higher entities. Now, whether it is, the Lady Eventide herself or multiple deities are able... In the universe, multiple creatures are capable of being vessels for higher deities and magic users. Like, that's not an uncommon thing, but the ravens, and specifically, they are specific to the Eventide ladies in the Eventide forest, but it's not to say that other people can't use them either. But they are known to be in that area. Are they connected to your Patreon? Or your patron? I am not giving you that information.
Oh, on that, actually, I have a quick question. Could be pretty fun. I wanted to ask this before Chris comes in because on a scale of 1 to 10, How much is Hanaya actually attracted to Zenori?
Wait, who's Hanaya again? Oh, I've forgotten.
Hanaya
No,
was
hold
our
on.
transport director.
Oh,
Yep.
I gotta look at my
Hanaya.
adventure journal. Hold on.
I get.
Please hold.
Hanaya is the Jeptunier that took you guys from Orkney to Chenogawa.
That's right. Sorry. It's been a while.
And
You have
her
such weird names,
sister.
Richelle. I can't keep anyone's names. No, it's okay. Just giving you grief.
I didn't want to sound the names to sound boring.
They don't. No, they definitely don't.
Yep. So Hanaya hinted to
That's right.
being attracted to Zenori,
Hinted.
and Sorn letting Emiya, her sister, know
That's
this. Emiya is taking it and running with it. So I cannot confirm nor deny any information at this time as to Hanaya's feelings.
Mm.
But all right. His super good question. How many world builders are active in the current state of the game world? And with that being said, what are world builders? So, because this is a higher state of existence, essentially, than the third dimension or the world as we know it, the rules of magic and magic governing materials and physical matter are a little bit different. World builders in themselves are a class of creatures or beings. It's not a species, it's not a civilization. They, kind of like world enders, except they're world builders. They are in that class, but they are all one of a kind to themselves. They don't have brothers and sisters, they don't have kids, they are immortal in their own rights. You guys know of for sure the one that you guys are currently investigating. And you have heard the Light Realm also has one. You also know the Svorlin Crafters have one as well. But through history books and myths and stuff like that, you know that there's at least 6 to a dozen known world builders to the realm. But people seeing them and interacting with them on a daily basis, since the realms were, split and, separated like arguing toddlers, no one has really interacted directly with them without, just cause, essentially. They don't walk around. They're, most of the time, they're gargantuan. Most of the time, they are super, super large. So yeah, I hope that answers the world builder question. So is it to say that there's more than one world builder in the realm? Well, yeah, so you guys are just gonna have to find out. Is there a specific area or region you're excited for us to explore? Us being players. You guys are walking around my universe right now. I'm excited about every day that passes. Just putting that out there. Like, you guys have been making my world go around quite literally. But when you guys first started, you had about 5 different major plot threads to choose from. And you guys can change your mind at any point. Like, they're there. But the one that you guys are following is actually the one that I really wanted you guys most to follow, because, these plot threads all tie directly into the graphic novel. So this major overarching quest that you guys are on to investigate the sick world builder, it correlates directly into the graphic novel and will either be in flashbacks or directly mentioned, or if your player or if your character ends up being immortal, your character will appear surrounding the events being mentioned in the graphic novel. But this is one of the more major and monumental plots in the Dark Realm. So for you guys to pick that like right off the bat, I'm not stopping you.
By the way, if Moshi does not become immortal, I'm gonna be really mad. I feel like Moshi needs to be an immortal being.
When you say immortal, does that mean we end up being one of the world builders or something like that?
Oh my god.
You guys become gods in your own right. No, immortality, you guys know is possible. You don't know how, you don't know why, or if you guys can even achieve it. But you guys do know that it exists, and I have told you guys several times that a lot of the people that you are currently talking to, well, not people, but like patrons and stuff like that, are going to be around in the graphic novel, and like the ladies of the Eventide. There was an Eventide sister in the house that you guys got sucked into by a shambling leaf monster, of all things. So it is entirely plausible that your characters will be in the graphic novel, and I will be calling you up one day and saying, "Hey, I need to know what your character has to say. I need to know your character dialogue for this scene." And I will be asking you guys directly if your character doesn't die, essentially.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Death was not in the books for this one.
But I do feel like Moshi being immortal, Moshi will be like the equivalent of Loki. For the
Yeah, that's what I'm getting the vibes for. Considering that Tish has actually cosplayed Loki, very fitting.
That's right, I did. I'm so in character.
All right. Aesthetic derelict Bolu, as we know him. When he was alive, we knew him as Bolu.
No.
Clarification, he is alive. We're just for anyone else watching the stream.
Has there been anything that has happened throughout the campaign that's changed how you view your universe? Yes.
That's a good question.
I would say yes in a good way. Because what is happening right now is I'm experiencing my universe as you guys are, as my players are, as the viewers are, as I'm experiencing it live. I know key events, I know key plot points, yeah, sure, but what it feels like to be in my universe, what it feels like to be a character in my universe, I had not gotten there yet. I just outlined, I did the universal timeline, I did the world building, and I did build the environments and the cities and some of the more canon ecosystems and stuff like that, but I didn't actually give it thought as to what it would feel like to be a character in my universe. So to go through the events that we have, it's been a first time experience for me in my own universe, and that has changed my view on my own universe a lot, but it in like a good way, because there was a lot that I was uncertain about or unsure, and like even if it could even be properly communicated, but everything that has happened so far is it's been amazing, and it's really given me the confidence that like, hey, this universe isn't so bad, but at the same time it's horrible because events are happening. But gotta keep it entertaining somehow. But yeah, so that's one of the things that I am enjoying very, very, very much is experiencing the universe live with you guys. And also the events and the key plot points. On that note, I only have general kind of ideas, like how I would like them to go, or if there is events like a natural disaster that are out of your control, or like a storm or whatever, other than uncontrollable events for what you guys are playing a part in. I have no idea what's going to happen either. I decided, it's like, like I said, I'm trying to chart the course ahead of you guys. But only like rendering in games, as you walk through, it renders in front of you. That's really all I'm doing. And you guys are deciding what happens, essentially. You guys are unfolding these events before you. So a lot of these events that are even happening, I had no idea how they were going to happen. Because that's up to the player's discretion. That is up to each and your individual desires and wills. Is there a release date for the graphic novel? Shit. So I would say I'm working on it in my spare time, but I have zero of that too. The goal was, like the honest long-term plan was that I was going to, because you guys influence events directly through this campaign, I was going to give it about another year before I started actual production on the graphic novel, just to see, if you guys did cover events that tied into the first part. And if that's the case, I need to, write that in. And, so you guys are having influence on what even happens in the graphic novel. Now, of course, a year from now, that's just starting production. The hope is, especially with everyone's support, I may be even able to hire artists in to help with the graphic novel, and that would expedite its release. I know, right? It's like, I think there's a couple here in this room. I mean,
I wonder who.
But on that note, I kind of can show you guys. This is the script book for it.
Whoa.
And it will be released as it'll be released as a web comic with anywhere from 37 to 70 panels an episode. I may keep it down to like 30, down to the lower end, because I do enjoy, the higher quality art until, we can have a full team of artists working full time on it. But ultimately, like, I know it's going to be a few graphic novels long by the end of it, or essentially like a few seasons, before at least the major thread in the graphic novel comes to a close. And it's not to say that there's not enough in the universe to also write graphic novels on, and like this campaign itself can't also be made into a graphic novel because you guys are characters literally in your own right. And I feel like the campaign should also be made into a graphic novel. But yes, it's still some time away yet.
There's so much that can be done from our campaign.
Yeah, there's so much.
So many drawings. I mean,
Listen, see, I go the opposite direction. Imagine a moshi candle.
Hey, what?
Just
now?
well, because I do the blankets and the candles and clothing and all that kind of stuff, but imagine candles that smell like your characters.
Oh my god.
what?
So Moshi's would probably smell like sweet buns, and probably something like a little spicy because she's got a little
Well,
kiss
sweet-
Moshi. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and sweet buns also do have a little bit of like a cinnamon clove spice to them.
Yeah.
Oh, now there's clove in them too? I gotta write this
Well,
down.
no, yeah, just like little.
Slowly,
Oh.
we're
I
getting
guess,
more
I
and
mean-
more recipe. Actually,
No,
Yeah, a
it's,
little
it's
twist.
seriously for the cookbook. It's I like
Yeah.
don't really care, but I'm legitimately like, I legitimately
The
have
fact
a
that you think the
cookbook
cookbook
going that
isn't
I'm
happening is wrong. Probably, actually.
cinnamon,
Mm.
clove.
Yeah, can we get the full
Sweet.
recipe for sweet buns yet?
Yeah, we have a whole
Fine, I
bunch of stuff in there,
guess.
so.
Yeah. So the full recipe for sweet buns is
Ryan just said Soren would smell like burnt marshmallows. It could have like a charcoal smell, you know,
Yeah.
like.
it's that tactile that he microwaved. Just
Yes, exactly. Oh my god.
oh.
Actually, yeah.
Oh man.
What would Aya and Zunori smell like? I feel like I might be leaves, but it's like fresh leaves,
Oh.
maybe.
Aya is definitely very floral.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. What kind of flower would you be?
What kind of flower would I be?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Probably gardenia. I like gardenia.
Oh,
Gardenias are really
nice.
pretty.
And then do some type of like citrus over note, because generally like when you make scents you do 3 notes, right? You have your top, middle, and lower, and your top is generally something that fades really fast, so it'd be like a hit of like citrus is a really popular one, and then a lot of your flowers are like
I'm
mid
sorry.
notes, and your woods would be your bottom notes.
Okay. Not to draw attention to it, but I'm drawing attention to it. Okay, so formerly known as Bolu, had a really great question for the players. What is one failed roll that keeps you up at night? Ryan answered his in the chat, saying, "That's an easy one. Every single roll I have ever rolled to try and get info on my patron." He is not wrong.
Every roll has been bad. Oh man. And I think none of the times Moshi has been around, so I would totally help, but like Moshi's been like asleep through like all those like journal readings.
If I could answer one for Chris, that would be the one where he failed that animal handling roll. And got butted.
Totally got like bowled over by that like thing that I forgot what its name is.
The Ekirid?
Uh.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Or-
thing, sorry.
Essentially a fox-like horse,
Foxy
it's a
deer
mountable
thing.
ride.
Yeah.
And he had the foal that you guys saved from the tomb, and he was going to return it to the stables where it had a worried mother, and he got a nat 1 on the animal handling roll, and the mother frantically ran him over to save her coal from him.
Yikes.
And
Very
just
big
totally just freaking slammed him. Let me see here. Honestly, I do have a favorite failed roll, but it sounds really weird. Or not really weird, but just kind of, Tish, when you were not drunk, but then you were drunk. That was my favorite
That is
failed roll.
literally what came to mind. I was like really hoping at the party that I would be like, fine. And then I rolled, I think was it like a nat 1? It was like,
Yeah.
or something
I think it
ridiculous
was.
like that. And it was like, well, gotta be drunk now. It's like, great.
And you...
Not want to do this, but I guess I am. So
Honestly, you did it so well. It was like, this is Moshi's natural state of being, right?
Well, they say, what do they say? Like whatever a drunk person says, a sober man's thoughts or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Or I'm not as think as you drunk I am. All right. Another good question from Ryan. Are there any unique or interesting languages we have not encountered yet?
Oh, well, we're going to a library, so I'm sure.
Right, spoiler territory. No, but this does bring up a good point. Spoken languages in the realm do exist between individuals, but most of the time, especially when someone is traveling, higher realm. This was one thing where it's like, oh, the people in the higher realms don't necessarily have verbal language as we know it, because magic and emotions, and you're able to communicate through the aether to one another, communicate meaning, that even if you guys are speaking two different languages, you still understand what each other is saying to a degree. But the written languages are more pronounced because you aren't able to convey emotion and meaning as you're speaking the words, because it's written down and being saved later. But I would say, especially after Earth comes into being, like, there's tons of diverse languages and stuff like that, and like way on down the line when gods start walking the earth, I'm gonna have it to where like they actually influence the civilizations they come into contact with those languages. So their civilizations that they come from are going to have aspects of whatever Greek, Roman, or you get up to the Farsi and Icelandic. Farsi? Is that what it is? Farsi?
I have no
Elder
idea.
Futhark runes.
Farsi is a language.
Yes, but is
Farsi,
it
yes.
Northern
It's
European?
from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of area.
Okay. Which one is the one I'm thinking of? Not
I wasn't paying
Finnish.
attention. Sorry.
That's actually gonna bother me. Oh my gosh. Hold on.
What's what from? Sorry?
It's a Northern European language used in the Viking era. Starts with an F.
Oh, you mean... Oh.
Nordic?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
was like,
Nordic?
Scandinavian.
Jordan?
Viking language.
I have no clue.
It's just Scandinavian, I guess. Old Norse.
Like Scandinavian. Usually it's like, yeah, it's like Norse or something.
Faroese?
Oh, like the
Farsi.
Faroe Islands?
Wait. Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Faroese.
Faroese. Okay, I see.
Thank you. That was bugging the piss out of me.
This is why A is in charge of the books.
This is true. She plays her character well. All right.
I mean, I essentially made fairy version of me, let's be honest.
The Faroe
You
Islands are
essentially
beautiful. I want to go there.
Oh my god, yeah. All right. Have you guys thought of any more questions at this time, or do you just want me to keep going down the list?
I would like to ask about Moshi's past, because there has been a lot of interesting things about Moshi's escapades that we really don't know much about. Like, what were you doing before Orkney? I want to say before Orkney in general, because I don't think we know what happened to you before you came into Orkney.
Okay, so guys, I'm like really bad with like all the names of things. What?
That was the mean town.
What was that?
Where the craft
where we all started?
was.
Yeah, where we started.
Okay, cool. Moshi, before that, Moshi was... Wait, Moshi came from the Light Realm.
Correct.
Oh, that's news to me, actually.
Yeah, and he's been wandering around for a while. Well, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, so like the you like move through the worlds through like these portal things, right? Like,
Yep, portal.
and
There are
they're
portal sites in the larger cities. Yep.
yeah. So like the portal site in like the dark realm, it's in like a large city, and he like came out there and stayed there for a while, and then like started wandering around. I don't forget the names of things. So,
That's okay, but like what I'm asking is basically like, were you were you still a rogue? Were you still a thief? Like, were you pickpocketing your way across the dark realm?
wait, like before I Moshi came to the dark realm, or you mean like in the dark realm?
In the dark realm? Because you definitely don't suffer from Moshi definitely does not suffer from the same effects as Ivania. So it hits to me that you've been around for much, much longer. You've been in the dark realm for much, much longer. You're
Oh,
used
wait.
to it.
Oh, am I? Okay. I don't know.
He's out here deducing your
I don't
backstory for you.
I know. I'm not sure. I'm like furiously like looking through my notes. I'm like, did Richelle and I cover this?
Well, no, that's why he's asking.
I don't know.
Well,
You're a
that
mystery.
and you, Leon, like you aren't obligated to answer the question as a character. Yeah, just like I'm
Yeah,
not
you don't
giving
I know
out
I'm not.
spoilers.
I know I don't have to say anything, but I don't know.
I'd love to give you an answer, however, it doesn't exist.
However,
We did talk about a lot for Moshi,
what?
and
Where did
then
I write that down?
I don't know.
Oh, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm like so all over the place.
Because
That's
you're still
okay.
sugar buzz from the holidays.
Oh, what did you have for holidays?
Cookies and pie.
Oh,
Uh,
I want.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
yeah. I made a bunch of stuff. I made peppermint crunch and oh my gosh.
That was so good. It's so good.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
I literally sit here on stream and eat it. It's the only thing I have left.
Can I have it? I finished everything. I'm out of everything.
No, it's your own fault for eating it.
What more? Can I pay you for more?
Yeah.
How much is the bag? Oh,
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
You're out here making addicts, man. You gotta
Yeah,
be careful.
All right. Next question. There was a high priestess from the Hall of Memory in the first episode. Can you elaborate on her work, and her people? Or her faction, or I guess whatever you want to call it. Yeah, the high priestess was Zamona. Zamona is known to be the little sister of Turagoa. Turagoa oversees the Hall of Memory and any magic involving memory. Once again with just the physiology of beings being relatively different. Memory can be encapsulated and projected outside of the mind. It can also be stored in records and stuff like that. And so the Hall of Memory, which, this isn't really like spoiler territory. The Hall of Memory, they do have smaller sections in library. So like the library you guys are going to is a very small little Hall of Memory establishment just for, the small region, not as densely populated. But the main Hall of Memory location resides in Art Ile. It resides in the High King's realm. And that is where, Turagoa keeps the most elaborate, and that is where the majority of all records are stored. They do have any smaller location. If they have official records, that official record is copied in the main location as well. But they do also, in the Hall of Memory, have scribes and watchers. The watchers can actively watch from events from distances, so like ceremonies and stuff like that. They can't, of course, go back in time or look forward in time, but they can watch real time. At the at great expense, which is where it's really only reserved for ceremonies and larger events, events involving the High King. That they will actually watch and record, essentially record to, like a little security camera, kind of.
Kind of
It's the
like a
realm's
live
version
stream.
of reality TV.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, yeah. But though memory capsules, essentially in themselves, cannot be read or understood by everyone. The Hall of Memory does have priests that can help translate if it's not a written record and you're actually trying to look into a memory capsule. Essentially, I'm just calling it memory capsules because brain. Then and you yourself cannot comprehend the intangibility of the memory, they will transcribe it for you, essentially, or they will bring it to a projector, a magical projector, to where it's essentially like VR. Oh my goodness. Is he's loading? There he is.
Hey,
Hey, what's up?
welcome.
How
Hi,
are
You
we?
Chris.
made it. Oh,
Oh, sorry about that. That was a nightmare.
I was getting worried. I was getting
Yeah, so was I actually. I was like, it's gonna be over before I get there.
Well, I have 3 questions left in my pocket after this one.
Okay, yep.
But so just to wrap it up, so the other thing that memories, Hall of Memory priests and stuff like that, like Zamona, and I think there was one more, Targola, Zamona. I have no idea. I really don't. Okay. There's another one that oversees memorial ceremonies. It's essentially the funeral version. The physical bodies of beings are recycled back into the aether almost instantaneously because priests are able to magically recycle them and send them on their way, but with a little bit of their essence and memories from loved ones, they can infuse a talisman, and this talisman can either act as a memorial grave marker, or a loved one can bring it around with them. Now, because souls do sometimes reconstitute themselves, or are essentially reincarnated, if they are not complete, they will bind with an element, creating elementals like Antares and Naniels. So like Ea and Sorn, their soul was incomplete for some reason or another, and they had to bind with an element in order to become corporeal, where if in that case, if they were to come across their past life's talisman, they can regain some of their former memories through that talisman.
Oh.
And they can actually reconnect with family and stuff like that. And, granted, they're even still alive, because it could take centuries or millennia for a soul to reconstitute itself or become, reborn. But for the most part, there is speculation on what happens to a soul when it dies, or when the vessel dies. But it's unknown in the realm at this time. It is still being investigated. Spoiler territory, not giving you all that one. Then the other thing would be some souls do reconstitute themselves, but they may no longer be moral, or sentient. They may be completely feral, and that is where you get the feral Antares and the feral Naniels. But that is also where you get, if someone dies and their body isn't recycled, another soul can inhabit that decaying vessel, and so you'll have zombies and skeletons and stuff like that. And that's what you guys fought in the crypt, were these souls that inhabited dead bodies, just to live again, essentially. But those ones, were under orders to stop the wife from getting out, if I remember right.
Yeah, I remember that. Our first little spelunking adventure. Yeah.
Where one of the questions, which I think we answered for you, but you can correct us, was what is one failed roll that keeps you up at night, and that was asked by the entity formerly known as Bolu. And we speculated that it is definitely the failed animal handling for the Mother Ekirin when you were returning the pole.
That's probably the most comical one. Yeah, definitely that one. As for a serious one, oh god, did I? I think I would have liked to have subdued vocally the guy that had all the bodies underneath his house, as opposed to us getting physical, like just talking down. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head that like makes me think like what could have happened as a result of just talking him down as opposed to like bringing him down. That's about it. Can't think of as opposed to like silly, more silly stuff like the animal handling narrative dice. Man, I can't fault it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, and that's about. I'm surprised. Like I thought there was gonna be more combat, but there really hasn't been.
It's okay. I'm here now. I'll rectify that situation.
I think it's got a lot to do with the investigation too, like crossing all our I's and crossing all our I's. Oh, God.
Dot your I's and cross your T's.
That's the one. I know what I'm talking about.
Words.
Yeah. But yeah, it's surprisingly enough, we haven't got ourselves into enough trouble yet. But I'm sure that'll be rectified, like Amberly said.
Because I definitely would have goaded the person with the bodies underneath the house. I'm going to be honest. Like, how stupid do you have to be to keep the bodies?
Yeah. Oh well, it was.
Man.
It was just the visual in my head about that. It was just like, what are we dealing with here? Is this a bad motherfucker, or like, is this just a sick individual? Yeah.
I mean, he could have made marshmallows. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but your bones contain pectin. So if you grind them up, you can make marshmallows with bone powder.
Oh, no.
Moshi needed that for his s'mores.
Just as an FYI.
I don't feel like eating people marshmallows.
But if you didn't know.
I still don't want it.
But in regards
Put some extra
to
sugar in
event,
there, we'll be good.
Oh.
But in regards to that event, I was anticipating that if you guys were, exploring that path, going down that, small, that was like a medium small plot, just a little fun side quest. Yeah, I was anticipating it to take a few episodes, not a half an episode. Like, you guys hit the gas button.
Yeah. I guess it was just like, oh, we shouldn't let more people die because that's bad.
That's bad.
Well, now that you are here, Chris, I am just going through the pocket of questions that our Discordians have provided us. Do you have any questions?
Not
just for me, for players too.
Okay. Well, for you, Richelle, I think most of my questions are just spoilers, so we'll leave
ask
one for the game.
You might be surprised.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be. I don't think I would be. Like a lot of, no. I
It's
won't
about
even
the
Straight up
future.
told you you're wrong.
Hey,
They might not be spoilers. No, they're spoilers.
they're definitely
moving on.
spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if there was a question I was going to ask you, Rochelle, like, how many times have we derailed you?
Oh, that's a yeah.
You can't derail what wasn't railed in the first place.
Oh,
That's a good answer.
shit.
That's a good answer.
That feels
Yep.
a little bit like a cop out.
A little.
Yep, I was kind of saying this earlier, but I'll iterate for you, Chris, because you're amazing and you deserve it. No, I've been writing session by session.
Oh, okay.
I
Yep,
have
yep.
major, events that I want to see covered.
Mhm.
And, of course, giving you guys enough information, where to go on stuff you do want to explore and investigate. But ultimately, like from your guys' first episode, in that episode, you had 5 major plot points you could have chosen from. And the one that you guys have chosen, which is locally, which is nice because travel time. But that was one of the biggest plot points that I had available. And but just because I kind of know where I want things to go, and I do know stuff that you guys can't control, like, oh, if it's a natural disaster, stuff like that. But ultimately, like, the course of events and how those events unfold, I am experiencing with you guys. But that's where I go back and I end up making clips of the previous episode, because I want to make sure that I'm catching everything, I'm keeping up with you guys and essentially rendering in front of you, and whatever direction you guys end up taking, you end up taking. But I'm only rendering so far in front of you guys. So no, you have not derailed me entirely. There's been a couple of times where what you guys ended up doing was so much better than I had in mind.
That's good then. That's good.
But I don't think they're. Hold on. I really don't think there was a. Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess the serial killer kind of counted because, like I said, I was expecting that to span over 4 episodes at the minimum. And then you guys did it in half of that episode, and I was like, oh, we're doing this.
I remember you saying after that, after we like totally took care of that guy, you were like, "Well, that happened faster than I thought it would."
Yeah.
Oops.
Actually,
So
on that though, I do want to know what was the one thing that you really did not expect us to do? Something that, yeah.
Honestly, everything you guys have been doing has been outside of my expectations. Because like I said, I haven't been setting them. I'm just your guys' narrators. And I freaking love this seat. Like, the mental gymnastics that you guys have been putting me through, I have been absolutely living for. But yeah, no, I have been not like, oh, I expect so little of my players. It's like, no, I'm not setting expectations. I'm trying, like I said, I'm rendering in front of you guys and trying to keep up with you guys so that way you all can have, this in-depth immersive experience and not be railroaded and not be, unheard and stuff like that. So every encounter that you guys have had, like the serial killer, I guess I could say, I was expecting y'all to just kill him right there, and you didn't. Stuff like, just little stuff like that, I think would be the only thing to where it's like, oh, that was actually really creative of you guys. That tends to be the most common thing I'm saying in my head.
Actually, that's one thing I could ask is, with NPCs, were there any that became more serious than what you expected them to be? Like Jaundy, was she expected to be as prevalent in our adventures as we thought she was.
No. She was.
No.
I was anticipating her to be very background, to just be the tavern runner.
Right.
I was expecting. Oh, I guess yeah. I was expecting you guys to explore more of the alderman and the wife. Even going up to the bathhouse Lentettes. Zeke's met expectations.
Yeah.
Narrative
Yeah.
expectations. Jognir, I wasn't anticipating you guys to meet him in Orkney. So that was a surprise that Jognir popped up when he did.
Okay.
Or not Jognir,
Yeah.
Jognir's your grandfather. Shoot. Hold on. The traveling maid, Drzash. There we go.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, who's Jognir?
No, Jognir is Zunori's grandfather and is mentioned in Nillian's journal.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's another question I actually have for the players. How much? This is like got me curious, and I don't know why I haven't asked it before. How much of yourself have you incorporated into your characters?
Quite a lot.
All
Yeah.
of it.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
much the same person, just a fairy.
Well, you are a fairy in real life too.
I mean, look at the hair. Yeah.
I'm not totally Moshi. I mean, Moshi is more likely to be selfish and like not helpful, and
Hmm.
I consider myself to be very selfless and like I like to help out. I like to be nice. I don't know. Moshi's a little cooler like when it comes to people, but I personally I like warm up to people faster.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the case of Zunori, he's like my best qualities turned up to 11. Like, yeah.
I feel like that's me, but like worst qualities. Like,
Yeah,
Ooh.
exactly.
like
Exploring possibility. Yeah.
extremely like I like pulling pranks, but Moshi is like gonna cut heads off of, dead like werewolves. Like,
Yeah.
And randomly
yeah.
throw daggers into
Y-
Dirk's
yeah.
eyes.
Yeah, I would never like just like totally like yeet a sweet bun like at someone's face. I would never do that like in real life.
So is
That's
that
so funny.
how you started working with Moshi's character? Is like, what would I not do in this situation?
But like there are some things that like I like to be. I think Moshi is just everything that I wish I had confidence to do sometimes. Like not necessarily like I don't know, he's very confident and I feel like I'm not sometimes and like but then I also like feel like I share some traits with him like he has like a not so great past and like I can relate to like some things because like I've had some not so great things happen, so like I don't know, I feel like our personalities like come together at certain areas but deviate a lot in like others, so
Yeah, I wouldn't be as compromising as what Zunori is. That's a new mark for me. Yeah.
Zunori's very patient. I like Zunori a lot.
Way too much patience for
I
this
know.
merry band.
I know. And so like
even-
calm about it.
Yeah, even me as a person, I have to like Zen. I know what Zenori would say here.
Meanwhile, Moshi's like,
What would Tsunori do? What would Tsunori do?
honestly, I
Yeah.
should just put that as a post-it note on my computer. What would Zunori do?
That's funny. That's so funny.
And then, like, on the other side, what would Moshi do? Don't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, little fine
Just-
print. Don't do that.
The weird thing is, though, is that I kind of put my into character space too. Like, I have to imagine myself as a military man with 3 children. Like, where does that put you in your mind? It puts you in a place. I'll tell you right now. I often forget as I'm about to answer what would Zenori do? What would Zenori say? And I'm like, wait a minute. That's why you see me pause for a second. I'm like contemplating my decision. Like, is this just me, or is this actually Zenori who's talking here? Maybe I should take a step. But then I forget that Zenori's just a lot of my qualities, as I said, turned up to
Yeah.
11, especially the patience and the what's the word? I guess forgiving. He's very forgiving. Like, yeah.
Sometimes how quickly I come to Moshi's decisions scares me. Like,
Well, I mean,
know.
like I said, you think extreme what you wouldn't do, and that's Moshi. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Devoid of consequence.
Yeah, and I am like a super like rule follower, and even though I like me personally, even though I like to bend some things or like pull minor pranks or just be like funny and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Moshi's like he doesn't toe the line. He's 5 miles away already over the line.
Yes.
And I'm like way back here, like I'm not even gonna toe that.
Yeah.
Just make like a balloon animal out of the line, you're fine. Then there's no line
Yeah,
anymore, right?
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What about you,
Oh,
Joseph and Amberly? Sorry. Sorry,
Oh,
Richelle.
I like to explore myself. I think I use my character to explore the aspects of my life that I really don't do much. According to most people, I'm very, as you put it, straight edge. So I'm
Okay.
very within the safety of everything. But with Ivania, I'm more of like, let's be chaotic.
Let's reach beyond.
I mean, like I said before, my character is pretty close to who I am. I'm definitely more extroverted as my character. I'm not a very extroverted person. So, like, I tend to
Okay.
collect people, but, like, I'm not that out there. I won't say that I like to ignore rules because, let's be honest, I'd probably get in trouble with my line of work. But even with my work, I've been known to kind of, like, take the standard because the job that I had when I was in the military, right? It was the same thing for 30 years. And I was like, well, that's stupid. And I did it a different way. And now everyone uses the way that I did it. You know what I mean? So, like, I wouldn't say, like, rule breaking in general, but, like, I go about things differently. I think differently. I feel like Aya is a very, like, different thought processed type of individual anyways. So it just kind of fits. Even if stuff's like maybe like on a different scale a little bit than what I do in real life.
Okay. Super interesting. I love it. I love the way people do it. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm the
did-
same thing too. Like I'm not I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an extroverted person, but Moshi is like way extroverted.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm definitely getting mixed. I mean, just because of how many different NPCs there are, and for me, it's a little bit weird because you know, first person fiction in general, like even, you know, in all my writing classes, it was my weakest link because it's like, well, first person means me and I wouldn't say or do these things. Like I am, you know, I don't lie. I'm just, there's no point in lying. Like, why keep beating around the bush? But even if I tried to lie, I'd be really bad at it. And so role-playing the NPCs has been very growing for me in terms of being a writer, because that is something that I did need to overcome. But the variety of different NPCs has definitely been super, super challenging, because it's like, like with the serial killer. It's like...
Yeah,
I
how
feel
do you
like-
write that?
I feel like we're playing The Witcher and like we're all like Geralt and his friends, but like Richelle is every single other person in the world. Like,
Pretty much. Yeah.
I feel for you, Richelle. I have such respect for you for doing that.
I mean, it's like I said, it's something I needed to do as a writer to round out my narrative toolbox. But I gotta say, I've been appreciating the challenge and how many NPCs you guys have interacted with thus far. You know, like I said, you know, that's
quite a
where I
lot.
didn't set any expectations, and I write and render ahead of you guys because I don't know what you're gonna do in the session, and especially with just how much time I have on my hands in any given week, I'm not going to write too far ahead just for it to not even be used. But there's been a couple of NPCs where it's like, you know what? Like John D. John D. I really connected with because, you know, I did a decade of hotels and restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where her southern accent came from too, because I'm like, you know, that I did hotels and restaurants in, you know, Tennessee was one of the places, and it was like, yeah, I can pull this one out really quickly.
Yeah,
So that's where I
she's
did a Shiva.
Oh, she's just become a how would you put it? If anything ever happened to Johnny, heads would roll type character, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a big part of what we are now. Yeah.
But I am certainly doing my best for you guys.
Yeah, oh my God.
To continue to expand that toolkit for your, you know, just the immersion of your guys' experiences. And that way you don't feel like you're talking to the same person.
How long
every single NPC.
has it taken you to build this world?
Oh,
5 years.
so it started with a single character in one of the foundations classes about, I think, 5 or 6 years ago.
5 years.
Damn.
5 years? Yeah, 2016.
years.
Yeah, and that one character really resonated with me. And I ended up asking what kind of world does this character live in? And, you know, what's her family like? What's her friends like? Turns out the answer is she has no friends because reasons. But I ended up building their world. And then I was like, well, now she needs a story. And now her family needs a story. And that was like the preconceptions of the graphic novel. But since I was only doing my bachelor's in illustration, I wasn't doing a master's. I didn't have a required thesis project. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the classes I took, there were assignments that were really open-ended. Or you know, open prompted, you know, to where it's like, oh, you know, you just need to use these techniques in the art, but you could do whatever you want, within reason, of course. So even in writing classes, I took every opportunity I had. I was exploring this character and her world. And then, you know, come the final semester, stylized character design. Was definitely my favorite class, but that entire class we were able to you know, do characters for a world. And he's like, you gotta make like at least 4 characters that all fit in the same world. And I'm like, can I do the one I've been like working on my entire degree? And my instructor legitimately thought that I was working on a thesis project. Like, and he's like, yo, this is your last semester, this is your last class, like, this is a great way to round out your thesis. I wish you the best in your thesis review. And I'm like, it's not a thesis. And, but so that's where the graphic novel was born. Was definitely in my degree, and trying to give a common theme and a common thread also to all of my homework assignments so I could make the most out of all my classes. But then, you know, especially since I wanted to get into story writing, it's like, you know, this is an exercise for me to try and make this assignment fit into my universe, or my universe to fit into this assignment. But then, when I was, you know, graduating, it's like, well, I need to start working on the graphic novel. And so, you know, I went into world building mode. And I overwrote the backstory of the graphic novel, because it's like I need to make the universe that this graphic novel exists in. In order to do that, I need to make the universe's history. And I ended up overwriting it. And one of my friends, you know, who I was sharing it with, was like, Richelle, have you considered homebrewing? I was like, what's that? You know, like, just totally innocent. And that's where, you know, I started looking into D&D and looking into homebrewing, and it's like, oh, wait a second. So that's where I dove into homebrewing and becoming a DM, and it's like, let me just make the rules of the universe, let me make the environments, and, you know, have these threads that they can follow, but ultimately, why not bring people in to, you know, write the story themselves, you know, to write these you know, plot lines and events themselves, and contribute very impactfully, contribute heavily to the graphic novel itself, and, you know, even be in the graphic novel. So I quickly fell in love with that idea and dived into D&D for about 2 months. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm at the point now where I can start looking for players. And that was where, you know, a couple dozen people were interested in becoming players, and I cried for like a week straight. But then also with, you know, the overwhelming amount of support just right off the bat, I had to get my butt in gear. And so that's where the decision came in to, you know what, let me play with my characters, or play with my players. You know, let me play with my players. Let me just make the world around them, and let them decide what happens. You know, let them decide what story to go after or what to investigate. So, and that
I really
was...
enjoy the flexibility that you have, like, in your world, and with, like, the environment and the characters and stuff. Because, like, my sister does, like, regular D&D campaigns, and I always just am like, they sound so boring. I don't know. I'm not really into the whole, like, fake Lord of the Rings or whatever. Like, but then,
Cliche.
yeah, it's kind of cliche, and it's just like, here's an elf, here's a dwarf, you know, and it's like, I don't know. It just seems kind of like, I don't know. And then you were talking
Tropey.
about your unique, like, world and stuff, and how you could be like different characters. I mean, it's the same concept, but like, it's like, but it's not cookie cutter, you know. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'm in.
Yeah, and
It's kind
that, you see a part of me, because obviously I'm not a stranger to all sorts of stories. And, you know, being such an avid reader from such a young age, and definitely a nerd as an adult, it's very easy to, and, you know, actually studying, you know, the illustrated, you know, narrative techniques and story techniques in school, it is super easy for me to see patterns. And if you see patterns on a wide scale, that's a cliche. Essentially, is something that is overused. You know, like using time travel as a cop out is cliche. You know, like, you know, how much of it is, did the writer intend to actually use time travel, or did they end up using time travel to just explain something away? And so that's me trying to avoid cliches, just me personally, because I get it. You know, I see it too, and there's a lot of stuff that is enjoyable in its own right, and is like a great, you know, great piece, great work of art, great movie, great book in its own right. But, you know, then you have some that, you know, do break those, you know, confines, and do go outside the box, do go outside the lines, and they're wonderful. And it's like, you know, that's kind of where you guys really see me, because I don't want to give you guys a cliche experience, but I also don't want my graphic novel to be cliche, you know, either, because well, yeah, I personally can only enjoy cliches so much.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of like what drew me to the story as well. It's funny how it all worked out. I'd been searching for literally months for a campaign to because I've played a lot of D&D. I've played since second edition, so I kind of know my shit. You know, fifth edition was quite new to me, but I knew how it would function, and I had an IRL DM that was, and I'm not even trying to blow smoke up his skirt or anything, but he was on par, not the same at all, but on par with Matt Mercer in the sense that the way that the world functioned, not so much he wasn't the best character maker or world builder, but how to put it, he knew how real people functioned, and he applied that to that world. Like if you messed up, like you tried to talk shit to a guard, you're getting owned, you're getting put in jail. Like it's the way it is. You disturb the peace. Like, and it was those functions that, without being too mechanical about it, made the story that much more rich, because we were trying to avoid hurting people's feelings as well as like hurting the status quo, as much as we were changing it as characters. But to go back to what I was saying, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
Tangent, welcome.
yeah. I was searching for months because I got high expectations now because of my IRL DM, and I'd been playing in a server for a while, and although it scratched the combat itch, like, oh, this looks like an anime in my head. Oh my god, this is great. But as soon as it came to story, it was so flat, so stripped. Like, for lack of a better term, it was just bare bone. Not even bare bones. It was like a bleached bones. And I came across your post in a random server. I can't remember where now. And I was like, oh yeah. And the only thing that nearly turned me away from you, Richelle, I'm not going to lie to you, was that you were a new DM, because I was like, fuck. There's so many inexperienced DMs out there. How's this going to turn out? It's like, you know what? I've been searching for so long now.
Oh no.
I'm willing to give it a shot. And that's when I sent you the email, and here we are. Like, the rest is history. Yeah.
Yay!
I only did it because it was Richelle.
Only did it.
Honest. Like, I've never played D&D before, and you all
cool.
know Richelle's one of my best friends.
Yeah,
and,
they're
like, I mean, like, honestly, it was gonna be like, it's not that D&D didn't intrigue me. It was just like, I have no desire to play if I don't know it's gonna be good. And Richelle was like, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, well, there you go. I'm gonna play D&D. If it was anyone else, if anyone else had approached me, even like a lot of my other friends would have been like, nah.
No.
Literally, the only reason I did it is because it's Richelle.
That's cool. That's excellent.
I've never really played D&D before this. I've only had one shots or like very small teams just to play. But this is
Yeah.
one of the most enjoyable ones so far.
Yeah.
Oh.
The
Rochelle's
story
gonna
that-
cry.
She's gonna straight up cry.
I am crying, you guys. Oh my
The
god.
story makes it, Richelle. What can I say?
It's all, the story is so great and the characters are so neat. And, like,
Hmm.
we were all so inspired to, like, I just put in the chat, like, we all like really like dove in to creating our characters, and everybody is super like three-dimensional, and we all have backstories, and like
yeah.
it's like really well done.
Yeah. No, I know how long you've been working on the story. So, like, I knew it was gonna be good. Like,
That's awesome. It's cool how that works. It is super cool.
Don't be good.
And it's really
Yeah.
cool because I've been writing a little story, I'll say in my head, for the longest time. And it's strange, like you were saying before, Richelle, is that it's much easier to build a world around a character than it is to put a character into a world.
Yeah.
I
And
guess that's in my
that's-
case.
Character driven
Well,
is way more relatable than like plot
Mm.
driven.
well, and not
Yeah.
only is it relatable, so where you guys are currently at is, well, I guess it still is kind of character driven, but either way, once again, with me being an avid reader, I didn't want it to feel too character driven, and I didn't want it to feel too plot oriented. Like, I kind of wanted to do that sweet in between,
Mm.
but the character inspired, definitely inspired the rest of the universe. Like, she essentially caught, set the fire for it. Um, and that, hold on. Yeah, and so when I started building the world around her, I wanted to make sure that it felt like a real world for her. Not that it was a world made for her, but it is a world that she lives in.
Mm.
And so there's more than just her in the world. She's not the center of the universe. The graphic novel will be her experience, it'll be her point of view, but the world doesn't revolve around her. Like, there is so much more outside of her perception that is going on, and that influences even what happens, with her and what crosses her path. And so that's, like I say, you guys are fucking making me cry here.
Another thing on it too is that you're super brave going into the past. Like most homebrews based on stories are usually in the future, like because it doesn't
Really?
come. Yeah, most of them are because it doesn't. I think people are too afraid to cut into actual lore, as opposed to letting the lore. Like I imagine it, the way I imagine it is that if we ever stepped into an area where we could change time in your story, we'd be owned like in an instant. It would just be end of character, you know what I mean? And I'm happy happy for that to happen because that makes for better storytelling. I go into every session in the possibility of combat thinking that Sonori might die today. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no illusion in my head going, I'm attached to this character, so therefore they can't die. They're immortalized by plot armor. Like it's not happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Your character could die next session, and that'll make me very sad because, what you guys were saying about how involved you guys are becoming with your character. Like, I get asked a lot, out in real life, like, and peers and colleagues and stuff, and they're constantly like, how's your session going, or catching up with old friends, and they're like, oh, I saw you started doing D&D, and that is usually the first thing out of my mouth is about how invested you guys have become in your characters. Like,
You guys, I'm gonna cry if any of us dies. Like,
We'll have
I'll
a
be
full-on
mourning.
funeral.
Don't you
Let's
worry.
go.
it's gonna be ugly.
Ugly cry.
That will be my villain origin story. I'm gonna be honest.
They're gonna call her the mosquito killer. And you just hear this little and then someone dies.
Yeah.
But I do want to bring attention to what Ryan is. So Ryan is sharing his experience.
Oh yeah.
A little bit. He was asking me, when I asked for players, because I am a new DM, and also I wasn't just asking my friends and people that I knew, I was also asking you general public. Because it's like, I don't know a whole lot of people who actually know how to play D&D and stuff like that. And you guys know me. I never say I know everything. And I wanted to bring on more experienced players that, I can learn from as a DM by having them as a player. And so, that's where I went into, other Dungeons and Dragons servers. I think the one that most people came from was the Critical Role server, the Looking for a Game LFG.
That's where it was. Yep.
But so that's where I did a Google form for people to fill out with just questions about, your Dungeons and Dragons experience or your role playing experience and what kind of characters you played, what kind of races you preferred, because that really allowed me to get a feel for you guys as players. But then that also, one thing that I really strove for when selecting the team was, well, scheduling came down to 90% of the decision. And, the ability to commit where, because this is, going to be a long running campaign, whether it goes for a few more months or it goes for, the rest of the year, that is on your guys's, that is your guys's prerogative on what you would prefer. But, so there were some players that are like, oh, well, I can do that time slot for the next couple of months or for the next few weeks, but then after that I can't. And, hopefully at some point, we can actually start bringing on guests, at least to this one, until I can start the campaign in the Light Realm, start a second campaign, but once again, it comes down to time. So, Ryan was the first person to tell me I had made a critical error in the Google form. Because it was also my first Google form that I had made. I did not enable a security feature that hid people's information from one another. And he DM'd me, and he's like, hey, just so you're aware, I could see other players' answers. And it's like, oh shit. So, and that was like early on with like, I think Ryan was like in the top first five or six. Like he was super, super early on. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you for telling me because, you guys are putting your contact emails in here and stuff like that. And so I was super like, freaking thank you. Like, I would rather someone come up and say, hey, you made a mistake right away, as opposed to letting it go because, oh, maybe she did that intentionally, or, oh, maybe she'll see it, someone else will say it, the bystander
It's a
effect.
scam all
It's
along.
a scam. Yeah, crap like that. And, oh my God, Moshi will go to, why would you say that?
Thank God that's true. If Soren ever died, Moshi would not come back from that.
Oh, truth. Yeah.
We must preserve everyone.
Their little relationship with each other is fucking top notch. I must say.
I do love it.
Like that's when I talk about like me reacting to certain situations or Zenori reacting to certain situations. When you two are together, I have to like just take a step back and like okay, these guys are hella funny, but would this actually be a thing? Like, in a serious situation? Okay, guys, rein it in.
You are definitely the moral compass and the sound voice for everyone. And that is something that I did not know how to go about, was your guys' dynamics within the group. How do you bring 5 people from different backgrounds, different stories, how do you bring them to join a common cause and them not meet in a tavern over a tavern brawl,
isn't it? Yeah.
So instead you guys met at a funeral, for the most part. Kind of, I mean, Soren's butt print in the dirt, I guess, kind of counts as meeting him. But I did not know how you guys were going to fit in with one another. Were you going to make friends? Were you going to gravitate? Were there going to be like bitter enemies? I had no idea, and it's been a real treat to watch you guys form these bonds and make these memories. And sarcastic dynamics even. It is absolutely wonderful.
Oh man, you don't know. Moshi hated Aya when Aya came in. No
I
joke.
wonder why.
No freaking joke. Yeah. I
To
think
be clear, that was not my plan. That was her plan.
Ooh, okay.
The bastards.
Interesting. No, and honestly, like I personally was angry. I was like, what the hell is happening? What's happening to my Moshi?
I was so excited that day because I knew Amberly was coming in, and I think Richelle and I talked about how we are gonna try and bring Amberly in, and I was like, "Come on, make it happen!"
It's time.
It's the reason why I hated Aya in the beginning. Is that your fault? Okay, hold on. Ryan said, I want to know what everyone is most excited for as far as the future of the plot and or character development goes.
Yep, and we will go ahead and make that the last, because that is a good finale question.
That's a good question. I'm excited for more sweet buns. I think that's in my future.
Honestly, I'm kind of excited to see. There's so many things that's going on that I want to find out more about, because the current quest line that we're on about the meeting the ladies of the forest and getting towards to find out what's the big old void. That's a big plot that I'm really excited for. Like, what is the actual cause and what's gonna happen? Like, what is going to happen when we face up against this nothing? What are we gonna do? Like, right now we're so focused on finding what it is, but we have no idea how to deal with it.
I've personally been I've really enjoyed watching Moshi like develop like throughout the campaign, because like I mean you guys don't really like know his backstory, but like knowing his backstory and like seeing him become like more like trusting of people, like I don't know, it's just cool to see. So I'm really excited to see that hopefully like come full circle like at the end.
Yeah, I feel the same way in that regard. Me and Richelle got a curveball to throw at you guys. Hopefully it's not too hectic. So
I got more than a few curveballs I'm throwing at you guys.
Bring on the chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos.
It's more how Zunori's going to evolve as a character, because I don't want him to be, how do I say this without being spoiler? I don't want him to be.
For you.
Yeah, go on, do that.
I can say it for you. I'm gonna put his character through some shit.
Hey!
Yep, and that goes along the lines of, and that's where I was really trying to back people off, when, just, hey, make a general idea of your character, like, don't go into stats and classes or anything. It's like, no, the story of your character. And everyone was overdeveloping it. And it's like, oh, your character already had a story and already developed. Do you want to play him? And so Chris had this amazing and intricate backstory for his character, and I'm like, well, your character's story is already done and said, and you're riding off into the sunset as a grumpy old man. Like, no, let's bring it back. I want to see your character before shit goes down, and by the way, I'm rewriting when shit goes down, and so he doesn't even know what he's going through or what he's gonna go through. He just, like, he knows it's on the horizon. And it's like, he doesn't know when, he doesn't know where, but he knows it's gonna come.
But this is the cool part, because like we're not excited for like what's gonna happen next, the next plot point, the next fight, the next town. It's like we're excited to see our own characters like develop. Like, and that's what is like the mark of like a really good story and really good characters and stuff. So, more props to Richelle.
I mean, I'm more excited about how the group is going to grow. So, like, I came in later because of the whole situation and everything. So like I figured it was probably gonna be like a little weird. I wasn't gonna fit in as quickly. And like I don't really have a close relationship with most of the characters here. I honestly feel like Vanya's gonna become my best friend, you know. But that quirky little thing where I just started like using the flowers. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but like you guys have held on to these flowers and people keep mentioning the flowers. And it's kind of like almost a group symbol to me at this point. And it's like my character fitting in, but also like these flowers that didn't really mean anything to anybody have become something that means something. And I like the fact that it's not, I mean, like I understand my character is the one that did it, but it's not a character thing. It's a group thing. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
like I have my own reason why the flowers are important. And I know we covered that in one of the episodes and everything. But like having the flowers and using the flowers and everything for my own reason and have a meaning to all of the other characters, I think is probably the coolest part for me at this point.
And now it's so like subtle. Like it's not like we're like, I still have flowers. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, Soren put a flower in his bag or something, or decided to, you know, he just like did that, or like, yeah.
Oh. Ryan has answered his own question.
No,
I think Soren, or well, not his own question, but the contribute to the conversation. I think Soren feels like he's got two little sisters, a big brother, and a best friend, all in the party. If I had to sum up how I think he feels.
Okay, now it's my turn to get a little emotional.
Go.
I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not gonna cry.
Oh my god. Villain origin story.
All right,
My eyes are just
Ivania.
sweating.
What should I say to say?
Oh wait, no, you already answered. You already answered, Joseph. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, Oh yes, you can answer your own question, you butt. What are you most excited for coming up?
Yeah. I'm most curious about how, Tish was saying before, I'm totally into like figuring out where our characters are going, but I'm so enthralled by our relationships with each other.
Yeah,
Like
that's really
our
cool.
little tidbits. Like, if I'm speaking from Zenori's point of view for a second, Aya was a big like side eye to me. I was like, what are you doing here sneaking around being all weird and shit? It was like, and then as soon as like the personality started to shine through and the whole flower thing, like I was like, oh, I see where this person's coming from. Like this is just from Zenori's point of view as well. It's like I see exactly what's going on here. This person just doesn't have social skills like we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you guys got a little bit of my backstory. And mind you, my backstory isn't anything complicated, but like I literally had nobody. My whole social interaction was watching other people interact.
That's right. Yeah.
So like you guys are kind of my people and the only people I've ever had. So like my character is obviously going to be very super awkward and kind of weird, which is who I am anyways as a person. But it also means like I'm not going to pick up on some of this stuff and I don't know how to fit and I don't know how to do a lot of this stuff that maybe like would come naturally to people that have been around people their whole life. So
Yeah, and Ryan has answered. He says, I'm super excited to see the group grow together too, the way we all adapt to each other over time to fit each other's strengths. Like how I had Soren feel sorry for Zenori, being the only one ready to take a hit for the group and subsequently did something to help with that. Yes, yeah, honestly, Ryan, the way you tried to comfort Zenori after Zenori had, essentially a PTSD episode. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Like that was fucking it was so subtle. Like it was small. It was just this little, but it was such a small gesture.
And I'll say it's like a pebble in the pond for Zenori as well. It was an echo a super echo. Like you divulged his story in such a way. But sorry, Richelle, I'll let you continue.
Oh,
Yeah. Diverged,
oh,
sorry, not divulged.
no, you're good. But
Oh, is that the one where I just decided to shoot somebody?
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The one where we convinced me not to bury someone alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. But I will say, me as a DM, as your guys' DM, I am honored to be your guys' DM. Like,
Thanks for being our DM.
Yeah, it's been great.
I could not have written your characters better at all. Like, you got the level of investment that you all are taking in your own characters is what is making this campaign and this whole story just as amazing and deep as it is. It's like, yeah, sure, I wrote the universe, but you guys are breathing life into it, and that's so special to me. Like, try not to cry. Hold on. And I said this a few times so far in this AMA session, that I am experiencing these stories, these events, like I said, of course I'm knowing a little bit ahead of time what may or may not go down. But it's at the roll of the dice. It's at your guys' decisions, your guys' actions, and your guys' reactions that are really, actually, truly writing the events. And so I'm experiencing these events real time with you guys. And not only to experience the events firsthand, but then also, to walk alongside you guys and alongside your characters and your characters' stories unfolding, and you guys growing and making all these memories as characters is the highlight of my week. You guys are the light in my life. But then as the creator of this universe and whatever hoity-toity stuff, it's also, like, career-wise, and you guys know me, I never back down from a challenge. Like I get faced with a challenge and I'm like, bring it on. And that's also what you guys are giving me for this great, because I essentially went into the school because it's like I want to tell stories visually and narratively and literary stories, and so this is what ended up coming out of it. But that graphic novel is essentially like, hey, I want to make it, because it's a piece of my heart at this point. And you guys are now directly influencing events that could undoubtedly influence what happens in the graphic novel. So now my investment is in your guys' hands. That's what I'm looking forward to, is I'm looking forward to seeing where you guys take my story, essentially.
Yeah.
But then also just every night there's so many memories, and like it takes hours for me to wind down and go to bed, because just the level of investment you guys are bringing to the table is heartwarming for me. Like, I was not anticipating when I asked, for players to join my game that I was half expecting that half of you wouldn't even still be here. Like,
No, I love being part of this.
like that was my initial expectation of pulling together a D&D team, was that schedules are gonna fall, or people are gonna just be like, you know what, this isn't for me, and they're gonna drift out, and 10 sessions down the road and you guys are like, no, we need to dig in further. And you know what, I regret nothing. Like, I fully, with every bit of my heart, trust you guys with my story. Like, no doubt in the world. You guys are going to take it to amazing places.
And I guess we trust you with our characters' futures, whatever that may bring us.
I promise I won't TPK everyone.
Rip everybody.
You
It'd be a
guys,
good run
this is
nonetheless.
great. Now we have to meet in person.
We
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
have to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, push come to shove, worst case scenario, my wedding,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, I got your
Hopefully.
I got your invite too. It's
Yeah?
in the mail the other day.
Nice.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I knew
cool.
yours was going to take longer.
Yeah.
Listen, I've only had one come back to me because, like, I figured maybe like the ones that are going to Australia would come back to me because I have a couple, right?
Mm.
No,
Yeah.
y'all's went out there fine. The one that was going to Canada came back to me because it needed
Bruh.
more postage.
Oh no!
I was like, what the fuck?
What?
Oh
So,
my gosh!
but yeah, the plan is for a bigger house. We decide we're going to try and move before the wedding potentially instead of after. But there should be enough guest rooms that you guys could actually stay at that point.
That'd be so
Yeah.
cool.
And we will have maybe sessions, or maybe I'll do special one-shots. Also, if you're in the Discord server, you might have seen that I finally started picking up the Alien, the Ridley Scott, H.R. Geiger Alien, the Xenomorphs RPG book.
Yeah.
So I might do one-shots with
I love
aliens
Alien.
and predators and xenomorphs. Yeah, all of the fun things. But I definitely want to do a few one-shots just for the hell of it. And so doing sessions in person, not out of line. But with that being said, so as far as we all know, we are resuming officially for episode 11 next week, same time as the AMA. Wednesdays. Hold on, let's see if I can do this. 4 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, and next morning 9 o'clock Australia. Right? Did I get that right?
Say again. What was the time you said?
Next morning Australia, 9
Yep.
a.m.
It's actually 11 a.m.
Oh,
because you guys went back and we went forward, so we ended up 2 hours difference. Yeah.
No way!
Yeah.
oh my god.
It's
Well,
okay for me because
I
it
am-
gives me an opportunity to sleep in, actually.
Whoa!
And that's why I was so livid, when I got here late, because I was like, come on, this work meeting couldn't go any longer. They know I don't like messing around on Thursdays, man.
Oh, well, and I'm glad you had fun, Ryan, and I hope all of our fans and our Discordians had fun too. I'm really happy we decided to do this, just because it does give us a chance to and kind of reflect on everything, and there's so many feels, and my heart is so full. It's spilling out my eyes. Oh.
Too funny.
But with that being said, we're gonna bid adieu until next week when we get to go through Amaya's tour to reach the library where Aya can go psycho. If I'm not mistaken on where we left off.
Books. All of the books. I'm so excited.
We're never gonna get out of there.
No. I know you probably planned that the whole session is going to be in the library because I'm not going to want to leave the library.
I'm just gonna bring this back for a second. We're at the Richelle Tavern too.
Yes, that's right. I totally forgot.
River Shell.
Richelle
Say it with me now.
Sure.
No. Nice
What
try.
has been done cannot be undone.
I love it. I love how it was totally like not intended, and yeah, that's great. It's just great.
All
That's
right.
awesome.
Oh, everyone, stay safe, stay nerdy. If you are getting snow, stay warm, and we will see y'all next week. All right, bye.
Bye bye. I'm waving. I swear. Bye.